The Rams, after their 3-game losing streak, after they went all in to get Von Miller and then Odell Beckham Jr., have now won 5 in a row. And they've won 2 in a row, Mike, where you look at it and you look at how the game goes early on and you think they got no business to win. And that's, to me, a hallmark of a great team. When you can win when it's not your day. It just feels like it's not your day. And we sense that vibe from certain players. Like, that's not, I just want to go home and get under the covers. Let's just get out of here. When you can find a way to pull it together and come from behind on a day where it feels like everything is lined up against you, you're a pretty damn good team, because maybe you're going to be able to access that in a playoff game and advance when you should have ended up going home.
Well, I mean, listen, you have the players to do it too. They're a head-scratching team from the talent that they have and how they play some of these games. Sometimes it's a defense that's not playing well, but look at what the defense did yesterday. What was the only touchdown scored for Baltimore? That was on a pick 6, right? And a bunch of field goals. So the defense, and we've seen the defense not play as well for the Rams, and you scratch your head because they got Von Miller, you have Aaron Donald, you have Jalen Ramsey, you have some excellent players on that defense, and you just wonder why they're not more dominant. And then the offense, you see the power that they have, and you wonder why all of a sudden they're down in a game, 16-7 going into the fourth quarter, only had 7 on the board. They're a head-scratching team, but when they can put it together on both sides, they can be as dangerous as anybody out there. But and they're going to get their chance, hopefully, to show that. But you just wonder at times. And listen, there has been, I can't think of a team, maybe you help me out here, in the last number of years that have pushed so many chips to the middle of the table. I mean, they don't have a first rounder to like 2050. It's unreal how they just said, we're going for it. Oh, this move, we're going for it. Not even thinking about it. Saying this is a year we're pushing everything to the table. We'll go year to year on this thing. Not always a great way to do your business. That's for sure. Not in this league. But if you pay it off with a Super Bowl championship, then obviously everything was worth it. If you don't, then all of a sudden, next year and the year after, you're okay. Now you're scrambling. What are we doing in the cap? What are we doing with this guy? These guys are leaving. We're going to bring in other one-year hopeful wonders. So you don't know, but they have definitely, and we know this, have made the statement that says we are all in it for this year.
Usually when teams do that, it doesn't work. I can think of 3 examples over the past 30 years during the salary cap era. The 2011 Eagles, who Vince Young dubbed the Dream Team on the way in, which was a mistake. The 2000 Washington football team, which was adding guys left and right and had the 2 top picks to get Chris Samuels and LeVar Arrington, I think, with number 2 and 3 overall. And it was basically just give them the Super Bowl trophy, and they didn't even make the playoffs. But I think back to 1994, the year that the 49ers won their most recent Super Bowl, there was that vibe where they were going out and collecting everyone. They get Deion Sanders, and they load the cannon and they get it done. So I can think of 3 times, and I'm probably, if I'm missing anything, I'm sure folks out there you'll let me know. But usually it doesn't work, and it felt like it was going to fail miserably for the Rams. But here they are. I talked to Von Miller after the win yesterday, and, one thing he's definitely seeing is far fewer double teams with Aaron Donald around. He had the game-sealing sack yesterday on a single team where he just got around the tackle and got to Tyler Huntley and brought an end to the game as a practical matter for the Baltimore Ravens. So if you've got Von Miller making plays and you've got Odell Beckham Jr. catching game-winning touchdown passes, these efforts that you made to go all in to make your team better and to reach for that brass ring and to get there, not just get back and lose 13-3 like they did 3 years ago, but get back there and win it all. It feels like the Rams are going to have a chance to do that, Mike.
I agree. And Leonard Floyd, I mean, they have 3 pass rushers, 3. I mean, you start to look at the depth that they have. I think people kind of going the way of what San Francisco did a couple of years ago, where they had all this depth and excellent players on the line. Gave up one of those, DeForest Buckner, who's doing a great job with the Colts. The Washington Redskins, or the Washington football team, has been going down that same road, right? Trying to get that depth, number 1 picks on the D-line and depth, kind of a way to go. The Rams did it a different way, not everything by the draft, but still the product is there. So they should have the ability to make every quarterback feel uneasy back there, at least get them on the move if you're not going to sack them. And they were able to do that yesterday. What, they have 5 sacks in this game? And again, the Baltimore Raven offense was not able to get a touchdown in this game. Remember, this was a team that was, 8-3, 11 games in and atop the division, and now look at them. And I know Lamar Jackson has missed time, but we talked about Huntley coming in and looking really good, and maybe, oh, look what he's doing. He's opening eyes maybe for other teams, but it just hasn't been working for the Ravens as of late.
Just so many injuries. I think it reached a critical mass with the Lamar Jackson ankle injury, even though there isn't a huge drop-off from Jackson to Huntley. I asked Von Miller about that too, and he said that they're similar, but there's still a difference between Jackson and Huntley when you're trying to track a guy down, chase him down. Jackson is a more elusive athlete, but I just think it got to the point where the Ravens just, look at all the close games they lost, a point here, 2 points there, a point there, fateful decisions to go for it, 2-point conversions, and it just didn't work for them, and it's just a razor-thin margin in the NFL. And that razor-thin margin is relevant to the Rams because, look, they win by a point. A game they should have lost. They won by 7 last week, a game they arguably should have lost to Minnesota. And Matthew Stafford has been a big reason why they should have lost the last 2 games. Let's hear from Sean McVay, coach of the Rams, on Stafford's performance from yesterday, which started with 2 interceptions, ended with 14 for 14 in the second half. Let's see what McVay had to say.
I thought he was at his best when his best was required. We talk about competitive greatness all the time. Now, there's a couple things where you talk about, all right, are we giving clarity to what we're really looking for in some of those instances? But, he's a mentally tough guy, and that's what you want from your quarterback. Those will be things that we'll learn from. Best thing is if you guys haven't talked to him yet, when you do talk to him, he'll be the first one to take extreme ownership. That's why I love this guy so much. But I feel like I can certainly help in some of the spots that I put him in. But when we had to have it, defense makes a stop. He made big throw after big throw in a clutch situation, and that's what the great players do.
And I got to give him credit for turning it around, but it's always better than having to dig yourself out of a hole is don't dig yourself into a hole in the first place. And he did that in the first half. And, the interception that was returned for a touchdown, I mean, my first thought when I saw it, and we're going to show it, I assume, here in a second, Mike. I want your thoughts on it. This one just looks like now you could say it's Stafford staring down a receiver, but when you see how Chuck Clark peels off of his guy, how quickly he breaks off of his guy, that tells me it's a film study pick six, and that they've got some sort of funky tendencies that showed up, and that maybe the Rams aren't doing a good enough job of self-scouting and making adjustments, because Clark came off of his guy way too fast for it to be a product of reading Matthew Stafford's eyes. It looked to me like this is a guy who has studied film along with his defensive teammates and coach. I mean, he breaks right away for the ball. I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Well, look at the route, look at the distance. They needed, 3 yards for a first down. So basically, the Rams had 3 receivers all somewhat near one another doing basically stop routes right past the sticks to get a first down. So if you have 3 receivers, basically, if we see that one again, and if you freeze it on those receivers, there's 3 receivers all stopping at the sticks. They're basically 6 yards apart, 7 yards apart from one another. So that means the defenders are going to be that close as well. There's going to be at least 3 defenders that are right in that area. So when 2 are that close, when you're going, just all they wanted to do was move the chains, right? They were obviously just trying to get the first down. 3 receivers, they needed 2 yards, running 3 to 4 yard routes. So when 2 receivers are that close to one another, Mike, one defender can play both. And if eyes give it away as well, now if eyes are giving it away, I'm close enough to this receiver next to me because they're all running stop routes right there that I can make a break on the ball. So it's a combination of things. The routes make the receivers bunch together, which brings the defenders together. If eyes are just on one receiver, then Clark can make that move. You can play 2 receivers because everybody is so close to one another. So those are situational things, it turned out, for this game, for the routes that were run for the down and distance.
And let's just say this, because we need to be fair to praise and also criticism of the things that we see. McVay's supposedly a genius. And you wouldn't expect a genius to put his team in a situation like that, where it's that predictable, where it's that obvious that Chuck Clark knows he can abandon OBJ, break on the ball, and return it for a touchdown. I'm not saying that McVay isn't a genius. Even a genius is prone to lapses from time to time. The point is, we don't expect this from the Rams. But it can happen to anyone at any time. And I think it just underscores the importance of always thinking about the plays you're calling, the situations, and are you putting your offense in a position where it's going to be difficult to execute because you have too many guys clustered on one side when it's clear they're going to be trying to run to the sticks to get that first down, and it's all potentially going to explode. And that was the thing that gave the Ravens an early opportunity that they shouldn't have had, Mike.
Yeah. You know, the good thing for them is they have the ability to make it up on the other side. You know, obviously not as much as the greatest show on turf way back in the day, but to go with those 15 interceptions, Stafford does have over 4,600 yards passing and 38 touchdowns. So they can put the ball in the end zone, a lot having to do with Cooper Kupp. But the OBJ coming there has really helped. What a great short touchdown catch he made. Great feet, great job to get the ball, you know, over the pylon. He has been an excellent pickup. Maybe more people are saying maybe he was right about what was going on in Cleveland, not getting the opportunities because, you know, he has certainly been money for them, making some big plays. And that's a nice weapon to add with Cooper Kupp. So so while they can make mistakes, and listen, one mistake, especially in the playoffs when it's win or go home, could be so costly. At least what they have is the ability to make up for it in some cases.
And, Mike, what Beckham is doing for himself, even though when he came to the Rams there was talk that he wants to stay there long term, he's setting himself up to be a desirable and pursued and possibly financially well-to-do receiver on the open market. The Rams aren't going to be able to afford to pay him. Somebody else may have seen enough already, and he keeps playing into January. That's one of the good things about being an impending free agent, playing into January when 20 teams are at home. Actually, it's 18 now, and then it'll be 22, and then it'll be 26, and they all are watching you and your games, and they're making their list of who they want to go get. Beckham's putting himself in a good spot to go get a nice payday on the open market if the Rams can't put together the kind of salary that he's going to command.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.